Hello, everybody. This is Carla, and this time I'm here to review the new sci-fi miniseries "Childhood's End." And before I go on to review the thing, I just want to give a bit of a background because "Childhood's End" by Arthur C. Clarke is actually one of my favorite books. I'm a big sci-fi person, right? So it's one of my favorite books of all time. And Clarke is one of my favorite authors. And this is just my first exposition to Childhood's End. The book was, I don't know, maybe back in the 90s. Obviously, I'm not old enough to have been around when the book actually became a phenomenon because it's from the 50s and I'm not old enough for that as of yet. But my first exposure to the book was somewhere in the mid 90s. I had just watched the anime series Neon Genesis Evangelion, which is pretty much my favorite anime series of all time, and maybe even my favorite piece of fiction ever, of anything ever. And when the internet came around and I was able to research a little bit into what went on behind the creation of Evangelion, I discovered that one of the creators, Hideaki Anno's influences was this book called Childhood's End by Arthur C. Clarke. And I was really intrigued by the premise because, I mean, the ending of Evangelion, I'm not going to spoil you, but you can probably guess how it ends. The ending of Evangelion kind of blew my mind. So if he got that idea, this collective mind idea from a novel, and I sure as heck wanted to read it, right? Because I had never seen anything like that at that point. I was just I was a teenager, and it kind of blew my mind so much that I just felt that I had to seek out this book, right? So I went and I bought it and I read it, and it's amazing. I mean, Clarke is pretty much the all-father of sci-fi, and I love this book so much because, yes, it's about aliens and, spaceships and alien invasions and whatever, but it's also smart, it's philosophical, it's deep, it makes you think about what humanity is like, what we should be like, where we're going, about the fact that we think ourselves the center of the universe. We're really not. The fact that we think ourselves the most evolved creature in this planet, and we're probably not. And who knows if our evolution is still over? I mean, obviously it's not, but where are we going? What are we doing? And is our current way of life actually helping that goal? And it's such an incredible book. And it kind of set the tone for everything sci-fi must be for me. So when I heard that SyFy was doing a miniseries based on the book, I was both excited and terrified, which is something that usually happens with me when people are adapting a property that I love. And I was, excited because I would love to see that story in a video format, in a way, because I know that not a lot of people read the book, so this adaptation might find a different audience, and then it might make more people love the book and more people think about these things that I think are important, and that only kind of sci-fi can only really touch on. So on that side I was excited. On the other side, sci-fi, okay, I love some shows in sci-fi, and for sure, Haven is one of my favorite shows of all time. But sci-fi does not have the best track record when it comes to their properties necessarily. Come on, the Sharknadoes are really... Although they have done some great things, you never know kind of what you're gonna get with them. It could be something really great, or it could be a big mess. Cheesy and whatnot. So I was kind of terrified that Childhood's End might go that way, and then it might just turn people off completely to the idea of actually smart sci-fi instead of just, space fights and and battles or whatever. So I was kind of excited about it with some trepidation at the same time. Now that I've watched it, though, I have to say I'm actually pretty satisfied. It's not necessarily the best adaptation I've ever seen. I did think the pace at times was very slow, but it was okay. I mean, I think it tried to stick to the book's themes as much as possible, and it tried to raise the same questions the book raised. Some of them actually, they managed to, and some others were kind of more vague. But I did like it overall. I mean, I might give it a 70 or something. I did like it. There were some aspects of it that I really loved. The special effects were much better than I was hoping for. Even the overlords themselves, which I thought would be like the hardest point to actually come across as serious rather than silly, because I mean, you have these things that look like freaking demons. There was no way, right? There was no way they were going to do that right. And the first time Carolyn appeared, I sort of thought it might, I sort of thought it looked weird, but as the story went on, I realized that they were, not only did they have really awesome makeup, that, yeah, okay, sometimes the makeup can look, fake and kind of take you out of the thing, but they were also using their camera angles and lighting very cleverly. It was very rare that you necessarily saw Carolyn face on in the light. So I thought it worked, and the rest of the special effects were actually really beautiful. I loved the way they, whenever the little ship came to Ricky's house, and I loved the way they came to him in the first episode when they kind of dismantled the entire house and then put it back together. That was great. And just most of the special effects were actually okay, so I like that. And speaking of camera angles and lighting, the cinematography was beautiful. Okay, the first episode almost looked like it was shot with these camera angles that almost felt like a documentary, which was, I thought, very apropos, since some of the scenes were, journalists talking among each other about whatever was happening. So I thought that was very interesting, and just, the locations were amazing. I loved just the angles they used, and the panning and zooming on people's faces and expressions, and rays of light going through. I thought it made it very ethereal, which is kind of good, because you do want to show that this is kind of a utopia, right? And it was just so beautiful that you couldn't help but just love it. So that was a plus for me. I did like that they took some of the characters from the book and kind of changed them a little. And I did like that they gave them sort of background stories. For example, Milo's was very interesting as a story. I like that he was a kid who was actually saved from death by the overlords, and therefore he just wanted to know how everything worked. I like that this was a kid from a neighborhood who became an astrophysicist, and a successful one at that. He was the last man on Earth. So I liked his little thing with Rachel. It was cute. It gave him kind of a reason to come back, which I thought was really interesting. Ricky's story I liked. I liked the part of the plot with him, still being torn about, loving his previous wife and loving his current wife. I thought that was nice. But at the same time, I don't know, I felt it lacked something. It didn't lack something in itself. It made the movie the series lacked something. Because in the book, Ricky Stormgren was a government official, and he was doing all these things basically as part of the government to learn who the overlords were, in a way. Like he was trying, people from the government and people from all these movements were trying to push him to figure out who the overlords were. And by taking that and making him like just some kind of random farmer, I felt it took away a little bit of the thriller aspect of it, in a way. It's like I didn't have that government intrigue slant. We barely heard from the government at any point, and I felt I missed that. You know, I thought that could have added a little more suspense to the idea, to the whole idea of the movie. And yeah, I felt stretching the whole I love my former wife, but I also love my new wife thing into, like, all the way into the third episode was a bit of a mistake, because those scenes by the third episode, they just seemed like they were slowing everything down. So that at those points, it's kind of that you notice that, yeah, okay, they probably shouldn't have stretched this into 3, you know. But apart from that, I mean, it didn't have that kind of spy / government thriller aspect that I wanted, but it did have the creep factor, which I really loved. I mean, not so much in the first book, like in the first episode. In that one, it felt very straightforward. I don't know, you kind of knew where things were going. I mean, obviously I did because I read the book, but it felt like you knew what was coming. Like, it wasn't all that much of a mystery. By the time they got to the second episode I really loved, because it felt creepy. It felt like, you know, these people are here and they're controlling us, and it felt, I kind of felt defensive myself, in a way. It's like, what is going on? I felt like I was getting goosebumps every time. And just the whole thing with the kids was so creepy. Why is it about kids that is so creepy, man? The whole thing with Tommy and the baby, the unborn baby, and then that extended into the third episode, which, man, when those kids were just standing outside and in the middle of the street just waiting for Jennifer, I was like, holy heck, I'm gonna have nightmares tonight. It was really creepy. I liked that they kind of bound the storylines together, in a way, because in the book it felt to me like all the storylines were very separate. Like, Ricky Stormgren was on one side, then Jan Rodriguez was on the other side, and then the couple with the kids was like totally separate. But I like that in this one they kind of found them together, in a way. I mean, Ricky was still kind of, his thing was kind of separate, but then Milo and the couple, they did kind of interconnect. I really like that because it made them feel more special. Like, in the book, their kids were the first ones, just like in the series. The kids were, their 2 kids were the first ones to actually show powers, and it went from there on. But it wasn't as, I mean, in this one, the little girl, Jennifer, she was like really the center of it all. She was the catalyst, and she was the one where all the other kids were going to unite their consciousness into her so she could then be taken into the Overmind. In the book, it didn't really come across like that. It just felt like, oh, their kids were the first ones, and that's about it. So I like that they, I mean, it made it even creepier. That little girl, man, I kept getting Exorcist vibes from her. It's just, she was creepy. I did like, though, that by the end, you know, they still resolved the Ricky thing. Like, he finally, after 3 episodes and I don't know how many years, he finally figured out that, no, the woman you really love is right in front of you, dumbass. Stop clinging to a memory. It's not going to help you at all. So, I mean, it only took him dying for him to figure it out. Smart dude, right? But I liked it. I liked the way it was resolved. I just wish it had happened sooner. I liked that Milo, his relationship with Rachel kind of did matter to him, because at the beginning it seemed like he was just like, I don't know what I'm doing, and I suddenly just happened to be on a date with this girl, and I don't know how it happened. It felt funny because he felt so socially awkward that he just didn't seem to know what was going on half the time, at least not with Rachel. But I like that she meant something, even though he left. Her last scenes with him, when they were putting him into hibernation, into stasis, were actually pretty good. I mean, I hadn't thought much of the actress up to that point, but she was really good at the end. When she was like, "Don't go," I was like, "Oh, it hurts." So I like that. I love the scenes with the Rexon family. I mean, not so much the mother, because she came across as really dumb to me. I mean, especially in the second episode. And I guess by the time she got better about it, I just couldn't let go of that feeling that she was kind of, if she had gone about this a different way, it would have been better. But I loved the dad. I loved him. He was great. The kids, I mean, the girl was freaking creepy as she should be, and the boy was kind of sweet too. I mean, when he was not being used by aliens to choke people out. I like that they let him kind of stay. I thought they were actually going to let him stay. I was like, wait, what? But no, he was just there to say goodbye. So, I mean, they are one consciousness, so of course the little girl can just talk to him and be like, no, you can stay 5 minutes longer. And just the way, I love the way they lifted up the kids, like how they went up in this like cross shape to the sky. And because through this whole thing I kept thinking, well, okay, the kids are kind of waking up into their psychic abilities. Where's the continent? Because in the book there was a continent that all the kids got sent to, but in this, I guess the kids themselves, or Jennifer, I guess, sort of made the continent in a way. But either way, it was really creepy. So I like that. And I like that. I wish we could have seen the bombing. I mean, it was implied, obviously, but I wish we could have seen that. Like when they panned back to Ricky's wife at the field by his grave, I thought she was going to like see a mushroom cloud, and I was kind of disappointed that she didn't do that, because that was one of my favorite parts of the book. Yeah, you know, it's one thing about humanity: either we kill each other or we kill ourselves. You know what I mean? It's like that was the turning point in the book. Is, you know, the kids are gone and the parents just don't know what to do with themselves. So in the end, humanity just destroys themselves out of grief, basically. So I thought that would have been a powerful image to see. The acting was okay. Like I said, I loved the dad. What's his name? Jake Gregson? I think I loved him. He was great. I loved Ricky's wife. I thought she was cool, even though she didn't really have much to do and she kind of just played the wife the whole time through. It's like, didn't she have anything else to do with her life or whatever? But she was good. I liked her. I found her strong. The former wife, the one who died, I found very annoying. I'm going to get crap from this because I think she's a recognizable name, but I haven't seen her in anything. And I found her really annoying. Just the way she spoke, I don't know. There was something weird about her. I liked Rachel. Milo was okay. Like, at times it felt like the whole thing was really awkward. And I don't know if that was the acting or the scene itself. Like, I don't know if it was supposed to be awkward or if it just came across that way because of the acting. So, I don't know. I'm willing to give him a pass. Just barely, because by the end he actually did tug at my heartstrings by the time the last scenes roll around. But let's talk about the big elephant in the room. How the heck did they get Tywin Lannister to actually put on all that freaking red makeup and the horns? I mean, for me, when I realized I hadn't seen his name in the credits or anything, so I just watched it, and then he came out and I was like, oh, he looks... Wait, I know that voice. And then it hit me. That's freaking Charles Dance. Okay, that's Tywin Lannister. And I'm like, this guy is such an amazing actor that I can't even think of anybody who could ever have done that role any better, because he has a tone of voice that's so wise, and that expression that is so wise. It feels like he knows everything, and he looks straight at the camera, and it's like he knows everything. He can see everything. And he sounds so wise. So I don't think it could have been anybody else, and I don't know how that man actually managed to put that much emotion in a character that isn't supposed to be very emotional, and in a role that has him covered in makeup with contacts and fake teeth. And I still felt his every emotion, like his pain for Ricky, his admiration for Milo, and just the sadness at the idea that he couldn't do anything to help Earth because he was doing what was best for Earth, technically, and the sadness at the idea that his own race wasn't going anywhere. I mean, for a series that was so grim, and a series that was so down and such a, downer ending, because it really was. I mean, say what you want about evolution, but in the end, Earth is gone. Poof, zero, disappeared, it's gone. So yeah, it's kind of one of those endings that you just kind of take a breath and then like gulp, because it's so hard hitting. And I don't even know what I was saying anymore, but it's even in a series that hard hitting, I still felt there were still little moments of fun, honestly. That bit at the end, I really liked that in the last episode with that other guy, that other alien overlord whose name I don't know if they actually mentioned it. I know it was mentioned in the book, but I can't remember. I know there was Carla and then there was some other dude. But that whole thing where he couldn't speak English, and then like 40 years later he's like, I have learned English while you were in hibernation. And he starts reciting Shakespeare, and I was like, I laughed so hard. I'm like, the world's about to end, I shouldn't be laughing. But there I was. I thought it was good, actually. I mean, sometimes when you laugh at the wrong moment, when there's like a moment of levity in between really dark stuff, it can feel a bit off, but I like this one. I like the little touches they had, like, the boy whispering Jennifer's name, and then the woman just coming out like, Jennifer. I was like, I probably shouldn't have laughed, but I thought that was perfect, and it made me smile, honestly, because I thought that was a perfect way to do it. I like the way they dealt with the themes. I like the way they dealt with religion, with science. I would have liked to see what happened with the religious lady. What was her name? Peretta? I don't remember. But I would have liked to see what happened to her, because she sort of disappeared. She was never in the third episode. Not at all. I like the way Milo was, questioning the fact that science is not necessary anymore. The only thing I would have liked to see a little bit more is the whole art thing, because I know it was mentioned in the last episode with the mayor dude just mentioning that here we can foster the arts, we foster creativity. Sure, but I would have liked to see people a bit more conflicted about that. It was like barely one line, and then it never got mentioned again. But I think for the most part, it was a good adaptation. I mean, I wish that they changed some things? Sure, but I'm satisfied. Sci-Fi took it seriously, and I like it. A few complaints, like I said, the whole Ricky thing just went on for way too long, and it kind of made me miss the whole government agent kind of thing, because that added suspense and intrigue, and I thought that was missing from here. Another thing I missed again was the dealing with art. And damn, I had just remembered one thing that I wanted to say that I also didn't like. It'll come to me at some point. Hopefully, I will add it in. You guys will never know. Anyway, I thought it was really okay adaptation and really entertaining, really beautiful to see, and it made me think about the things that the book made me think about. So, yeah, I'm happy with it. I think Sci-Fi did a good job. I mean, it's not going to like win any awards or anything, but it was as faithful as it could be. Oh, I remember now. The passing of time, it didn't seem as noticeable in a way because okay, so in the book the time passed like really, really differently because the book was written in the 50s, so it was like a totally different war that they were stopping, and since the moment the overlords came until the moment Carla revealed himself, it was actually 50 years, 50 like 50, and you could kind of see, because Carla would tell Ricky, you're not going to be here when time comes to pass, and you know your destiny is revealed, the destiny of humanity is revealed, you're not going to see it. So I thought in the book they kind of wanted it to be to like seem like a long time passed, because you know when they first came here, and then afterwards it was like, oh, 15-20 years went by, and you notice it on Milo, but you don't notice it on Ricky. Ricky looked exactly the same through the whole 3 episodes, and his wife looked exactly the same through the whole 3 episodes, so that was kind of weird in a way. I wish they could have done a bit better with the passing of time, so that was another one of my big complaints, but you know, overall it was okay. It was a good adaptation. I'm really happy with it. I think it was as loyal to the book as it was, while still bringing it to a modern era, so that was interesting. And it did raise to me the same questions that the book raised, and whether people got them or not. I guess if anything, it will make people want to read the book more, which is never a bad thing. So yeah, go work, Sci-Fi. Guess I shouldn't be as terrified as I usually am when you guys announce that you're going to adapt the property I love. Anyway, yeah, that's about it for my review for Childhood's End. 3 episodes on Sci-Fi, so if you get a chance to watch it, if you haven't watched it, why are you listening to this? But do watch it. It will maybe make you feel better about sci-fi and, you know, ugly demon-like makeup and spaceships and other things that people don't usually take seriously, but this takes it very seriously, so that's good. As usual, remember you can visit our website at thegeekybub.com. We have reviews for other TV shows, movies, books, games. We have a ton of stuff in there, so be sure to visit and check it out. And if you guys want to be notified as soon as possible when we upload a new review, then you want to subscribe to our YouTube channel, because that's usually when the reviews go up first. Even before they hit the website, they're up on YouTube, so be sure to subscribe. And I will see you guys in my next review. Bye!